All right, we are waiting in line to check into Canada. Oh, okay. What is it? A. We're checking into Canada, eh? Woo! First major mile marker.
Yeah. The first day of the trip, as discussed in the last video, I was still feeling very unsure about the validity of this whole idea. It was the most ill-conceived idea I think I've ever had. So no, I'm not feeling super enthusiastic about it. But by the second day, things were already looking up.
We kind of fell in love with this way of travel. You go so slow. We're probably only averaging about 35, 40 miles an hour on these back roads. And it's kind of the best of being in a convertible and being close to the ground. You just really get to see the scenery from a different perspective. And it also helped that the weather was just perfect.
So we decided, let's do it. We've already got the flights booked. We're going to England, so it's time to get up to Toronto.
Okay, we didn't want to pay the 20 bucks to park because we've got all of our stuff. So here we are at the beautiful Niagara Falls, and now I gotta go run back in the sidecar because we're not allowed to be where we are. After sneaking a few furtive glances of the falls over some tourists' shoulders, we headed straight to the Toronto airport to ship our bike over to England and begin our journey in earnest.
It's a Ural. It's a Russian company, and they've been around for 75 years or so.
Yeah?
This is a 2012, but it's sort of modeled after their first
That's
one
what I
from
was
the
saying,
war.
yeah, so it's a newly built...
Yeah. Yeah, this is based off stolen plans from BMW.
That was it, BMW, yeah, the Boxer.
Yep. So, 1930s BMW technology, but with clunky Russian construction.
So do you flip a coin who's going to go in a buggy, or how's that work?
No, I am...
She fits better over there. So who do I need to talk to?
You need to go down to, you see there's a ramp.
When we were looking at how are we going to get the bike halfway across the world, the most common option is ocean shipping, but that takes a lot of time, 3-4 weeks minimum, and is susceptible to delays. And you generally, from what I was discovering, was that you had to crate the whole bike, which means that you've got to get somewhere and then build a giant sturdy wooden box to put the bike inside of, and at that point they'll take it. So that's not trivial. We didn't want to wait that long anyway because we were already getting late into the European summer, so started looking into air shipping and came across this deal that Air Canada runs every summer, where for a very reasonable price they'll ship your motorcycle. So I called them up and said, well, will you do it if it's got a sidecar attached? And they crunched some numbers and came back with, I think, 1,500 Canadian, which is like 1,200 US to ship the bike. And it rides on the same plane that you're flying on, so you can kind of guarantee that the bike's going to be there when you show up. And you don't have to crate it, you don't disassemble it. You just have less than a quarter tank of gas, disconnect the battery terminals, and hand them the bike. Didn't even need to give them the keys. And they strap it to this sort of pallet thing, and it goes into the cargo hold on a normal passenger plane. Even though we could have the bike on the same flight that we flew on, we wanted to send it off the day before, just so any problems with customs in England could get sorted out before we arrived.
So we just made some new friends, Megan and Scott, who are letting us stay in their really nice apartment in Toronto, which is just incredibly nice of them. And they're gonna take us out sailing tonight to see the skyline of the city. And I just have to show you what they drew because this is awesome. I think they nailed it. So for all those people who said get on another boat, do you have anything to say to them right now?
We're getting on another boat.
We've said it before, and I'm sure we'll say it again, but meeting new people has been the absolute highlight of traveling. You made it! Woo! Our new friends, Megan and Scott, took us out sailing twice on their lovely boat, and we got to see Toronto in a way that we otherwise wouldn't have, just driving around. We're sailing! And it feels so good! Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm cold!
We got to tour around the harbor and then around Toronto Island.
We are at the Harbor City Yacht Club in Toronto Island.
Well, do you mind hitting the fenders over?
And we got to check out these little kind of hippie liveaboard communities out on these islands. And we went out drinking and dancing one night, and yeah, it was great. Here we are at Toronto Pearson. Our lovely new friends, Megan and Scott, just dropped us off. They had a, well, stop short of tearful goodbye, but it's sad to see them go after they've been so hospitable to us. But we are on to England, flying out in a couple hours, and we'll wake up next to our sidecar at Gatwick.
Yeah, here we go.
On to the next thing.
Do you see our flight?
E77. Your hat's already starting to look ridiculous.
It is. My Instagram look is not on point.
Oh no, you're a total Instagram babe right now.
The flight is off to a rocky start. There are so many children screaming. Will has a child behind him kicking him.
Reaching forward and trying to grab my things.
His hair, his ears,
Pillow.
his pillow. Coach.
On behalf of the captain, the first officer, and the entire Toronto base crew, thank you very much for having chosen to fly with us today. And we wish you a pleasant stay in the Gatwick area. Mesdames et bienvenue à Londres Gatwick. Les présents se moins.
We showed up to the warehouse and picked up the bike. No damage, no scratches, reconnected the terminals and drove away.
Yeah, nicely done. Let's go see some of England.
Why we chose England was because that's where most of my family lives. I was born there, and all the family on my dad's side is still there. So we decided to start our trip by seeing my aunt and uncle and staying in Chichester, just south of London. Chichester is a beautiful area. There's a bunch of tidal tributaries that run up from the coast. So it's really nice driving around there through the country lanes.
This is Bosham.
Bosham.
This is the Anchor Blue. So it's Bosham, not Bosham.
Okay.
B-O-S-H-A-M, Bosham. Go 10 miles to Cosham, C-O-S-H-A-M. I don't know why.
Why didn't we buy a bike in Europe instead of shipping ours halfway around the world? That's a really good question, any prudent person would have just bought the bike in Europe. We got it in our heads that we really liked this particular bike and that it wasn't going to be available in Europe, and we thought that we would definitely want to keep the bike after the trip, so we couldn't import a European bike home, but we could take an American bike, go do our thing, and then bring it back. Retrospectively, I think it probably would have made a lot more sense to buy locally, even if it wasn't quite the bike we wanted.
What happened?
I got stung by a bee that flew into the mask.
Oh, babe. Does it hurt?
Well, a little bit. So she asked me yesterday, have you been stung by a bee since you were a child? And I said, no. Children are the only ones dumb enough to get stung by a bee.
Karma.
Here we are.
Oh, sweetie. In the next episode, we take the ferry over to Calais, France, and drive up to Amsterdam to meet some friends and hang out in the Netherlands for a few days before turning south and making a quick run to the Mediterranean.
So, we bought Prosecco, but we forgot to bring cups. Just gonna drink it from the bottle. Cheers!